While 80,000 thoughts will bombard you today, just one conversation can make you 1% better. If you walk around with your nose in the air, you're going to end up flat on your face. But if you're content to simply be yourself, you'll become more than yourself. Thanks for hanging with us today as we discuss what erodes and cultivates growth, making us 1% better. Welcome to 1% Better with Marc Lucas and Brandon Mouer.
Hey, welcome to 1% Better with Marc Lucas and Brandon Mouer. Hey, Marc, how are you doing?
I am good.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. That sounds like a common phrase, doesn't it? How are you doing? It's a greeting. It's something maybe you say every single day. Sometimes I run into people and they don't even say hi. I say hi and they go, how are you doing? It's just a common, and I've kind of learned if it's one of those just in passing, sometimes I don't even answer, and I don't even think they're wanting an answer. But today, we want to dissect and talk about how are you really doing? You know, a couple weeks ago, we talked about what matters in life, what's really important. There were so many things coming out, people producing things, TV saying this is good, but at the end of the day, what's actually important. So today we're going to talk about how are you really doing? So I'm excited, Marc. I think you're excited. We've had phone calls and we have prayer and discussion, and we're ready to dive into 1% Better of how are you doing? Okay. So do you have any thoughts to start us off, or?
Oh, well, there we go. Keep going.
Cool.
You're rolling.
Okay, so being busy, I think you and I kind of talked about being busy. It's very,
I'm busy.
Yeah, and I'm busy too. It's insane how life is just busy. And I feel like, and I know you and I, Marc, have talked about this recently in our discussion over the phone, being busy has seemed to become a trend. I think ever since 2020, everything kind of slowed down. Deliveries got slower. Traffic got non-existent in 2020, but even so,
nice, actually.
It's great. Now, gas was like 118 in Arizona. It's fantastic. However, things kind of slowed down, but I don't know if being busy is slowing down right now. I think it's kind of sped up. I think it's a trend. And I know you mentioned the something that I think was very valid. And you said, if you're not busy, then you're not successful. And that's not something maybe your opinion, but that was something that you've heard from friends, colleagues, whatever it might be. And I think that's so true.
Well, I think I totally agree. I think it's not, it is what I think I hear a lot, is that people might not say, hey, I'm busy, I'm successful. But at the end of the day, when we are having conversations with people and we start with that first question, how are you doing? Most people respond and say, I'm blank and the blank is busy. And that just tends to be a response that myself included have so often in those quick dialogues that we have with people. And if we don't say busy and the other person says, oh, really? I'm so busy. Then it's almost like, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
You're not successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You're eating too many Cheetos, watching and streaming things on Netflix on the couch. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, if saying I'm busy is kind of this badge of success, first off, how are we defining success?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, if we're saying, because I'm busy, I'm successful, great, you might be productive, but sometimes there's a couple things there. First off, you might say, I'm busy, and you're doing things that really aren't productive, first off. And then secondly, or fruitful, really providing 1% growth, because that's where we're getting. You can be really busy and not growing, and where's your soul at, which is where we're going to go today. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to say, okay, yes, we should be productive. I think when Jesus woke up in the morning, and successful people wake up in the morning, most successful people that we read about or I read about, and I read their biographies, they're up at like 5 a.m. and they normally start their day with physical activity. And then they just really just hit the ground running. And they have full productive days, really tackling quite a bit. So I think in this show today, we're going to really talk about what is healthy, productive, busy, and really more importantly, how is your soul right now in the midst of being busy? And are you really contributing to your family, to the marketplace, to community at large, in the midst of being busy. So some initial thoughts.
No, absolutely. And you talked about soul. I think that's, excuse me, where we're going of just how are you doing in your inner being? A couple of weeks ago, we talked about what are you watching and consuming? What are you listening to in your headphones or in the car? And some things may not be bad, but those affect your inner soul. And so I think it's important that we are consuming the right things, listening to the right things, following the right people. And we'll talk about that in later shows about who are we following? Who are we trying to look like and reflect? But yeah, there's a scripture in the Bible. As you know, we bring up scripture. We love Jesus. We're Christians. That doesn't mean you have to believe what we believe right now. But so I'm glad you're with us and please stay with us. But there's a scripture in the Bible. It's the book of 3 John. There's only one chapter. Verse 2 in the first chapter, it says, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be good in health as it goes well with your soul. So that's just some what does that mean? Interpretation, right? Some definition there. Basically means if you're doing well in your soul, I hope that you're good in health as you are in your soul. So you being healthy am I trying to say it compares, it contrasts, it's synonymously intertwined. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Intertwined with how your soul's doing. If you're not doing well in your inner being,
it's woven together. It's interconnected.
Interconnected.
Yeah. We have a shared brain in these shows, that's so right. We get to work together.
That's right.
No, it's right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think at the end of the day, I love that you found this passage, and I think it's the right passage for us to go to because here's the truth. No matter where you are in the journey right now with God, no matter where you are in your relationship with God right now, God cares first and foremost about you, and he also cares deeply about you being in good health, and he cares about your soul. So I think at the end of the day, we have to really in this show, and really every show to a degree, we talk about this, okay, how is your soul doing right now, and how really are you in kind of some of the things that we'll get into in the area of if you're so busy right now that you really honestly can ask yourself, I don't feel like my relationships are in a healthy, good place right now. I don't feel like I'm really taking care of myself in a way that I feel energized. I feel like I have a sense of peace right now in whatever you might be walking through. I don't feel like I can really kind of slow down at night and slow my brain down. My brain's just constantly like it's just humming, and it's just in this high gear that I continually have a hard time shutting down at night, have a hard time slowing my brain down. Maybe you lack focus, maybe you lack concentration. You just don't feel energized right now. There's just this fuel indicator. If you kind of look inside of this meter, pretend meter that we have on our hearts, on our souls right now, you're like, I'm running on fumes. And if I'm honest with myself, and maybe you say you have a quarter tank, or maybe you say you have a half a tank, wherever you are right now on the fuel meter, we have to navigate how do we fuel ourselves? What does that look like? And then also, if we're running on fumes, how do we quickly refuel? And what does that process look like? And we believe wholeheartedly that slowing down is a vital, important step in this process of refueling. Because at the end of the day, here's the Captain Obvious statement. You're not Superman. You're not Superwoman. None of us have the ability to just go through life and not take care of our souls, not take care of ourselves in a healthy way. I'm not saying taking care of yourself in a way that's not healthy and appropriate. We can talk about that if you want. We've got to be able to pour into our cup, refuel, and recharge. Some thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's so good. I like that you said about the brain. When you're sleeping, your brain's just constantly moving. A lot of people take melatonin for that, just to go knock out, or NyQuil. I had a buddy who was sick and not like ill, just had a cold. And he took NyQuil because he needed to sleep and it helps, right? And then after he was not sick anymore, he was back to work, back to church, doing his normal stuff and helping around the house, all this stuff. I was like, hey man, how you feeling? It was like 2 weeks later. And he's like, oh, I'm great. And I go, cool, are you still sleeping okay? And after the sickness, and because he didn't really sleep well. And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, I'm still taking NyQuil. He goes, I love it so much. He's not addicted, but like he was like, it helps so much.
I love NyQuil.
NyQuil.
We are not sponsored by NyQuil.
We are not
We've
sponsored
said it
by
3
NyQuil.
times.
That's true.
But that's obviously unhealthy.
It's unhealthy.
Right?
It is, absolutely.
And he's hopefully not still on NyQuil.
No, that was a couple years ago. Yeah.
And we're not going to say your name so we don't get people.
But you know who you are.
But you know who you are. You're watching. So no, it's a real question. And I think in this show, we have to, so let's start here. So Brandon, when you think about, because here's the reality, okay? This is not an easy conversation for any of us, but I'll be the first one to admit this is hard for me. And it's hard for me to be intentional because it takes intentionality to slow down and to really begin to ask myself, how am I doing in the way of self-care? How am I doing in the way of slowing down and resting? What do long periods of rest look like? What do short periods of rest look like? How do I kind of unplug and recharge? So, because here's the reality. It used to be, at least for me, the Monday through Friday schedule was busy. And if your Monday through Friday involves going to school, great. That's probably busier. If it involves going to work, great. That's probably busier. And then we looked forward to the weekend where we could kind of step off that Monday through Friday treadmill and slow down a little bit. But now, I think really in the Western culture, that weekend treadmill, a lot of times, for me at least, tends to even be maybe even faster and busier than the weekday treadmill.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that I have for you, because I'm always learning from you, is how do you intentionally slow down Monday through Friday and on the weekend? What are some things that you do to slow down?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually talking to another friend of mine on Sunday last
already
week.
established you only have me as a friend.
That's true. You're the good friend. Everyone
I'm
else
the
is
good
just
friend, okay.
friends.
They're like
yeah,
fake
they're
friends.
just
Okay. It's fake friends.
Oh,
Okay.
we also established though that we're arch enemies after the show.
Yes.
This is all
as
fake.
soon as they walk out these studio doors, we really don't like each other.
We like Jeremy, our producer.
Yes,
but
Jeremy's amazing.
Not each other.
Everybody else, arch enemies. Go ahead. Yeah, go.
But I was talking to a friend of mine last Sunday, and he was like, hey man, how you doing? He asked, but he wanted to know the answer because he's a good friend. And I told him, I was like, dude, I don't have any time. I literally was like, I'm so busy. Things just keep getting stacked and stacked. Some stuff I don't even want to do. I just have to do, whether it's chores or whatever, right? So it was interesting that we're talking about this today because the show kind of stemmed from that talk that him and I had. But you asked, how do I practically? I'm still learning how to do that. I think maybe we all are, as you admitted to. I just admitted to. Which is good. We want to get 1% better. Something I've learned is to put my phone down. Oh my goodness. That's so simple. And you don't have to be a genius to know that, right? Put your phone down. But really, my wife and I and family, we went to Sunsplash Water Park in Mesa, Arizona. And we were there and we didn't bring our phones in because we don't need our phones for 4 hours on water slides. Who does that? One person brought their phone. Emergency
down a
for
water
pictures.
slide?
No, I'm saying you don't need it on a water
okay.
slide. So why bring your phone in?
But you said one person. Did
Brought
one
it.
person bring their phone?
Well, they
brought
kept
it into the park.
in
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
not okay.
I was that's dedication.
No, yeah, they're holding it up.
If you're listening, you have a problem. If you're making calls down the water slide.
That's true.
I'm doing emails while they're going down the water slide. All right, keep going.
Money wasted.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
that's why we're arch enemies.
That's right.
Keep going.
That's right.
Yes.
That's just one check on what's going to happen after this.
Lots of fighting.
And so so one person brought them in for emergencies or pictures or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is we kept the phones in the car. There's no reason. And I felt kind of not the longing, that's such a drastic word.
Did you feel kind of naked? Not,
oh, yeah.
You kind of feel naked when
I felt like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
I'm missing notifications. I'm missing text, emails. And here's the funny
part
thing.
of your hand or something is missing.
Yeah, And literally the funny thing about that, as much as I was missing what I was missing on the phone, for 4 hours I was in the water park. I came back to the car afterwards.
Did you check it?
And there was 0 calls, texts, notifications, emails. And I thought,
because you have no friends but me.
that's what I thought. First off, that was very discouraging. I was like, I guess I'm just not loved. Second thing I thought was, man, I really don't need my phone. Unless I was with all the people other than Marc who I need to talk to, apparently, because nobody was contacting me. So it was almost like but then it was almost like okay, yeah, wake up call. I really don't need my phone for 4 hours, right? And so maybe that's a hard thing for you. Maybe that's like, I don't want to give my phone down. But you asked a practical, that's something. Put your phone down, put your laptop, your switch, your TV, whatever it might, electronic device that holds you. And we know, you know what I mean by hold you. Like Marc just said, it's part of you. You feel nude without it. Yeah. Put it down, especially before bed. There's a whole science to, bedtime technology and stuff, but we don't need to talk about that. But yeah, so that's one thing I would say. The second thing is...
Oh, I thought I was going to give one now. Well, you're going to give two? I only asked for one.
All right. I'm going to quit. No, go for it. Go for it. You talk.
Okay. No, I'm totally joking. No, that was really good. And I think the phone is probably, for me, the thing that I have to work on the most, putting down. The second one, and you can go to the third, I'm just going to go quick, is for me finding some moment in the day. It could even be super short, but some moment in the day where I just get outside.
Oh, that's nice.
And I just, little walk, could be by myself. This morning it was with the dogs. Could even be just like going in the backyard without my phone and just kind of just looking around and taking in just the beauty of the day. Like here we are even right now as you're gonna be watching this, where we live in Arizona, it's butt hot. But even, that's really hot. That's what the weathermen want to say, but they can't say butt on
professional.
TV. So the reality is it's hot. And even on the hot days, really hot days, I just go outside and I just find like one thing that I can acknowledge that's beautiful. Whether it's
a mirror. Oh,
no.
Sorry.
Not a mirror.
Well, that's what I thought you were going to say.
It could be a bird. Even Jeremy laughed at that one. Could be a bird. It could be the trees. It could be obviously the sunset, the sunrise. But just find something that's beautiful and just say, you know what? I can slow down in this moment to just kind of exhale and just take it all in. Go back to your number 2, which is your number 3.
Well, now I forgot it. Now that I'm looking at,
so it's not that good then.
Thinking about you looking at yourself in the mirror. That you probably would have said that if you weren't on air.
It's just not that good then if you forgot it.
No, I'm like at the computer, like I wrote it down. I didn't write down my second thing. But yeah, I think something too is, and like I like that you said going outside, but also investing in my wife. Right. So I'm 2 years married at the recording of the show. We just hit our 2-year anniversary. Marc is the one that officiated our wedding. We talked about that the first show.
Yes.
It was great back in 2021.
It was the best part of the wedding, probably, but keep going.
Your part?
My part.
I will say.
My part was pretty good.
It was solid. And
this show is not about humility. I did keep it short, yes.
But because it was butt hot. It was in June.
It was butt hot.
It was outside in June. Whose idea was that? We're going to get
so many negative comments on this show.
Like, guys, what do you talk? Just get to the point.
They're going to kick us off the radio station. We've said butt 3 times now. We've literally
we're not sponsored by
off. And how would you be sponsored by butts?
Toilet paper or something?
Okay. Charmin has sponsored us. Officially, we were sponsored by Charmin.
This show has gone AWOL.
It is awesome, though. I think people like it so far.
This is great. This is one of our best.
Making them laugh. Even our producers laugh.
That's true. That's a win for us.
And he hears us all the time. He's tired of it.
Yeah. But no,
it was short. No, it was good.
It was short.
So, sorry,
but
I'm
it was
totally derailing you.
The part that I like is I want to invest more in my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with my family, whatever, coworkers, people who I'm around often. I want to invest. If you look back in Genesis, the book of Genesis in the Bible, the very first book of creation, of how everything came to be, right? We see Adam and Eve, the first 2 humans. All they had was God and them two. Like they just had to invest, and they had animals and stuff, but human beings.
And they were naked too.
Only for a short period of time. Until
but in that moment right there, they're naked.
They were naked, yeah.
So that would be also very
that's
fun.
That's where Marc's
with our wives.
Again, this is, all right. Okay.
We've been censored. We're already off the internet.
Maybe people
Faith Talk has kicked us off, and we are officially banned from the interweb. I'm going to bring us back.
Bring us back.
Sorry, it's all me. It's on me, this show.
That's true.
This show is not about butt hot. It's not about being naked in the garden. It's truly about finding in your soul, how are you doing right now in that fuel level, in the way of you having peace, in the way of you having energy, in the way of you being able to kind of slow your mind down, in the way of you feeling like you're fulfilled in your relationships, you find purpose right now. And if the answer is you don't feel like you're where you want to be in those areas, then probably one of the big contributing factors is you're too busy. And you're just running too fast and too hard to really focus in on what matters, which is several things, but taking care of yourself. So soul care. So like even once a day, I have this deal where I journal through the vowels. I think I've told you this before, Brandon, but I journal through vowels A, E, I, O, U.
And sometimes Y.
And the I is self-care. So I spend some time thinking through like self-care. Could be as short as like, I had a really, really hot shower and I just did deep breathing. That's like a quick one. Or it could be, I did foam rolling for the day and like really kind of prayed a prayer of gratitude. It could be, I was so thankful for a moment of standing outside and enjoying the beautiful creation around me. It could be, I put my phone away and I just listened and made good eye contact with my wife. Whatever it is, like doing that and then also saying, okay, at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to, you mentioned how busy you've been. A lot of times our calendars, there's a really old school game. I think it's a great game. It's still a good game. I think it's still out, Tetris. And Tetris is all about stacking these different blocks of shapes on top of each other. And a lot of times when you stack all the shapes up and they're connecting, all the different shapes are touching, a lot of times that's our Outlook or our Gmail calendar. Every single appointment is stacked on top of the last appointment and the one that you're going into. If that's your calendar, the reality is, I'm telling you right now, your fuel meter is low. You're running on fumes. So what we have to do is really be intentional to say, okay, how do I make an appointment in my calendar that says, put down my phone, or go outside for 30 minutes and walk around, or find some kind of breathing room, margin to go take care of yourself and to go fuel yourself. As this verse talks about, and I love that you mentioned this verse, I pray, God would pray this for you, that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. God cares so much about us. He wants us to be in good health, and he wants all to go well with our soul. In the crazy Western world that we live in, we've got to kind of fight against this current of culture that constantly pushes against us and says, busy, 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 busy. So it means successful, 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 successful. Yes, to some degree, but no in the sense that if you're not truly finding margin and breathing room, you're not going to be successful very long because you will crash and burn.
It's so good.
Final thoughts.
No, it's so good.
Couple minutes left.
I think at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to give up in order to grow up? All right, so what do we need to give up in order to grow up? I think growth requires sacrifice. Change is never comfortable. Change, not a lot of people like. People like their rhythms, which is great. I'm a creature of habit. I like what I eat, like how I go through life and my days. But I think growth requires sacrifice. So if this show, as it is, it's about getting 1% better every single day. What can you do to get 1% better? It's going to require some sacrifice. If you can't bring your phone into a water park because you just need it so much for whatever reason, maybe that's something practically that you can just put down. So yeah, growth requires sacrifice, and ask yourself the question, what do I need to give up in order to grow up?
I love that. And I would end with, in the last minute or so, I would end with really do an evaluation right now on a metric of 1 to 10. How is your self-care? How is your soul doing right now? Those could be two questions that are lumped together. 10 being, I'm really healthy right now in my relationships. I'm really healthy right now with energy. I'm really sleeping well right now. I can slow my mind down right now. I can focus well right now. I have a sense of peace right now. Then that would be a perfect 10. Nobody's a perfect 10. So if you put that, you're lying. But that's kind of the metric. Figure out where you are right now and then say, okay, how do I get 1% better? Taking some of the practical examples that Brandon and I have given you. And that's something that's really healthy for all of us to get 1% better. Thanks so much for tuning into 1% Better. It is a joy to take this journey with you. Have an amazing day or night. We'll talk to you real soon. Take care.
You're playing with my 1%.